So it was 2019, and your brother and current sister-in-law just got engaged, or were getting engaged, and Molly, my sister, and your wife was throwing them an engagement party. All right, so you and I, we were working on some of the aspects of the party, such as a pallet wall, right? You screwed in the pallet wall, we painted the pallet wall, and that was all fine and dandy. That's more the speed. You're a construction engineer. I'm just a guy with 2 hands and 2 feet that is willing to help. And then Molly gets called into work. I think she had an event some night because she used to work for an events place or do an internship there. And she had to go off into some beautiful patch of land to celebrate the marriage of some random couple that she was throwing this event for, or it was some company. Either way, it was an extremely wonderful event. However, that was a Saturday, and on Sunday, the engagement party was happening. Well, what happens on Saturday before the Sunday of an engagement party? Well, you have to make food. You can't make food for 25 people without making something on Saturday, right? You can't just make it all on Sunday because you got to go to church in the morning. You're going to run out of time. What do you prioritize in life? Food or church? The spiritual food. You should prioritize both because that's how you live. But if you have the time, you should use your time to make the food beforehand. I'm getting on a tangent here while I'm telling this story. Back to the story. So she's gone Saturday night. What does that leave us, me and you, to do? Because certainly we have nothing going on Saturday night other than to play Rocket League and eat cereal. She tasked us with making chocolate-covered strawberries and egg salad sandwiches. And neither of us had melted chocolate before, so that was an experiment all in itself. We were here in a 400-watt microwave that cost about $10 off the side of the street, trying to melt chocolate, stirring vigorously every 30 seconds. And that was a task. And they were the ugliest chocolate-covered strawberries you'll ever find, but also the chocolatiest, because we couldn't get it down to rich and thin enough to where you could get it nice and pretty. So that was fantastic. And then we had to make the egg salad sandwiches. And to make egg salad sandwiches, you have to make egg salad sandwich filling. And when I tell you that's one of the most nasty items, you just got it all in your phalanges. We're cooking up. At this point, it's 12 a.m. in the morning on Sunday morning. And we got egg salad sandwiches. We got filling. And again, they're the ugliest egg salad sandwiches. You got egg salad filling all over the pieces of bread. We were cutting the triangles so tiny that it didn't even make sense. Then, at around 2:30 a.m., we decided it's time for dinner. And what did we do? We took a break, and we got Chinese food, and it was incredible. We just pounded Chinese food for like an hour. And that's hard to beat. But we were not done. So it's about 3:30 a.m. at this point, and we got the jalapeno poppers to make now. And again, we hadn't made jalapeno poppers, so we were doing a little dicey and a little sniffy. Well, some noses started to run, so some fingers that touched the jalapenos started to kind of get the snot so it didn't drip out into the popper. Well, if we know anything about jalapenos and sensitivities and sensory areas, you know they don't combine well. So I believe many of us were crying in the room that night. I don't know if that was from the jalapeno poppers, from the
many reasons.
hours of egg salad filming, or the 45 pounds of Chinese food we ate. But I hope your brother and sister-in-law really enjoyed their time together that next day. It was a fun time. It was just a long night, but we got to celebrate and praise the Lord in the morning. So that was quite the whirlwind of an engagement party.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think really what started it off was I underestimated how long it was going to take to do the pallet wall. So, I found the pallets, whatever, went to Home Depot, got some lumber. We screwed it all together and painted it. And when we go to paint it, at that point it's 7:30. So I'm doing it in the carport with the lights on at my house. And then we're still thinking, dude, we got to go back to your apartment and make a dang 4-course meal for 30 people. And it's already 8 o'clock. So it was probably, to start off, it was poor time management. And then as it went on and on, you get more and more tired and the product just becomes more and more mediocre. And it started with the strawberries and they were, like you said, horrendous. And then the egg salad sandwiches, also horrendous and disgusting. And so you mentioned egg salad sandwich filling, which just so happens to be egg salad. But
Well,
yeah,
I'm not an
it
egg
was,
salad guy, so I got no idea.
yeah, it was a late night, and Molly came home and we were making them poppers. I think that wedding was in Jacksonville or something like that. And so it was going to be a late night for her anyways. But she just walks into your kitchen through that back door and there's jalapenos everywhere. There's like open boxes of Chinese food. She's like, it's 3 a.m. What are y'all doing? And so I think she went to bed. I don't even think she helped us after that. She's like, y'all are almost done here. So I'll leave you be. But yeah, that was a crazy night.
It was a crazy night. I think we went to CVS to try to find mustard. That's right, we did. Because all the shops were closed. It was so late.
Oh man, I
that's
forgot
a good
about
memory. I'll have your finest bottle of mustard, please.
I know the dude's like, it's CVS at 2 a.m.
Oh man. Well, that was at this point 5 years ago, which is crazy to think about. But I'm curious about 7 days ago until now. How has those days been?
Yeah, this past week was really good. I feel like it went very quickly, but it was a great time. And I don't know, it felt like a really long week, but also one that went pretty quickly. So work was pretty typical this week. Tuesday and Thursday, got up and walked with the boys. Got the body moving a little bit. One little fun anecdote from Wednesday, I was driving home from work and, I'm driving down UTC, in the UTC area, and there's some big intersections by UTC. So there's, I think it's 6 lanes wide on each side, so 12 total lanes at this intersection, and this car in front of me just rolls down the window. And as it's going through the intersection, gives the bird, just out the window, and he's flying, he's ripping, he's going probably 65, 70 down UTC. And he's just riding with it out the window. And I wasn't sure if, I was kind of relating it back to your story of when you received a bird while walking. I was wondering if there was someone he saw, coming in the opposite direction. Yeah. I wasn't tailgating him or anything, so I don't think it was directed at me, but some people just wake up and say, look, I'm going to give the world the bird this morning.
Maybe it's the second day of Christmas, Maybe it was time for the turtle doves to make a presence.
Perhaps. But
I will say it's an interesting conundrum we have on our hands here. People seem to be giving the birds more often these days, and I wonder why that is. Maybe it's a pendulum swinging because when the bird first arrived, of course it was popular, and then it kind of diminished, like, oh, that's old school. But now there's a fresh a fresh bird releasing, perhaps a bird feeding going on. So we'll see more in the future, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's certainly, like you said, there's certainly an uptick that I've noticed recently, and it's an epidemic in our country, frankly. So I don't know how to fight it. I don't even know if I should fight it, really. But
What is the opposite of a bird?
maybe a thumbs up. It's encouragement,
Keep up the good work.
Keep up
Great
the work.
job. Keep up the work.
And then, once we got to Thursday, it was kind of, my sights weren't really on work come Thursday. My sights were to the weekend, because the weekend was it was a big weekend. It was a milestone in my life and a couple other people's lives as well. And so, as I mentioned last week, I'm working at the airport, and Grammy had flown in Thursday afternoon for Stetson's first birthday party that we had this weekend. And so I had the pleasure of going and picking her up, and it's, 30 seconds from my job site. So that was very, very convenient, very cool. I'm glad she flew in the afternoon instead of like lunchtime or something like that. But I went and got her, and we had a fantastic conversation on the way to the Airbnb on Thursday night. So that was a good time. And as I mentioned, we got an Airbnb because my wife, she loves inviting people to parties, which is, I think, an incredible thing to do. I mean, she's just a very hospitable person. And we, that was kind of what the sermon was on this morning. But she's got a knack, much like your father, of just being very hospitable, wanting to do the most for everybody. And that was really on full display with both of them this weekend. So yeah, I mean, it was just, the party was a blast. We had some people bring in, like, I don't even know how to describe it. They call it soft play. Don't love the naming of it, but it's basically just like a bunch of, it's a ball pit. It's a bunch of padded toys and things like that, where you can let little kids run around and, smack their heads into things and things like that. So they won't get hurt. But we had like 12 kids in there at one point, and it was a little wild. I wasn't sure about your evaluation of the situation.
Oh, I like that term, the evaluation of the situation. Mine was, this place is popping, and I'm loving it. I always love when the kids get to play with one another. Of course, it's crazy. Of course, it's wild, but it's also a beautiful picture of just a pure, well, not pure, because we would say they're sinful in that regard, but just, hey, let's have fun. There's no, oh, I'm not going to talk to you, I'm going to cast you out. It's just not as complex as adults these days, but it's hey, we're having a ball. There's going to be crying. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to get back up, become stronger. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to hurt yourself, get back up, become stronger, and then keep doing that same cycle. So I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was a great dynamic, and I appreciate the parents that were there. And that includes you. You, a father of a 1-year-old. That's no easy feat, They don't say having kids is the easiest thing in the world, I don't think. However, it is one of the most rewarding things in the world.
I could certainly attest to that, and I would agree. I would agree that it's incredibly rewarding. I think Stetson is really, I think we've been spoiled by him, frankly, because he sleeps so well, and he's just a good boy. just his temperament and his personality are very, I don't know. He's just very endearing, everything about him. So I'm blessed and I'm very proud of him. But, going back to the party, we had just such a good kind of conglomerate of people, if you will, from all different walks of life. We had mainly folks from the Sarasota area, had some Gainesville folks come down, obviously my parents, your parents. But yeah, it was great. And the Airbnb that we got was it was perfect for the setting. It was big, open floor plan is the word I'm using. Back porch with a pool. None of the kids got in the pool, thankfully. But yeah, it was just overall an incredible time. And I'm glad that you were able to be there for a small portion of it. I wish you could have been there for a while because, everyone else was there Thursday to Sunday for the most part. But I understand if you don't want to hang out with us so much,
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I couldn't go. Whenever I'm around y'all, to be quite frank, I just really don't enjoy my time. I'm always on edge. I can't relax. And I become constrained. Like, why is Brett always wanting to play golf with me? Why does he always talk about, let's go golf, let's hang out? Why? Why does he want to spend time with me? Why does he want me to spend time with his son? Why does my sister want to spend time with me? All these questions come and they constrict me. And it reflects poorly on you because you're unable to see what you're doing to me. And quite frankly, I cannot stand my time. I was there for 8 hours, and about at hour 1.5, I was about ready to go back. I was just so sick and tired of all that was going on. It was honestly one of the worst days of my life. Oh dear. All right, here's the deal, listeners. Here's the deal. I've just told one of the greatest fibs I've ever told. Spending time with Brett, Molly, and Stetson is one of the great joys of my life. And quite frankly, I don't get to do it enough. And sometimes I cry myself to sleep because I don't get to do it enough. Sometimes I pray to God for peace because I don't get to do it enough. And having everyone there, much like Christmas in Texas, having everyone together was one of the great moments of my year in 2023. This is family. This is home. We are sojourners, of course, on this land, but for the family, it doesn't matter where you are. You could be in Pensacola. You could be in Sarasota. You could be in Quebec. You could be in Iran. You could be in Australia. It's the people you're with that make your family and home. And you, Brett, you, Molly, you, Stetson, you, Mother, Father, Jackson, Grammy, Grumpy. I mean, I could go on. Y'all are home.
Well, that was beautiful. That was a great little. That was a fantastic monologue. I feel like we would have to, if we ever have a all-time classic episode where we collage things together, that would certainly be a hit on there. But
yeah, I mean, that really took you through a range of emotions. At first you thought I hated you.
Yeah.
Then you thought I just disliked you.
It's a pendulum, man. Everything's a pendulum.
That's right. There is truth in that. Absolutely.
Well, it was overall, it was just an incredible time. And, like I said, your dad and Molly, they've got a knack for being hospitable. And I just think it's incredible because I'm, if it was up to me to plan this party, I'd have said, hey, we're going to go to the park. We're going to have hot dogs and we're going to, throw the ball around. We're going to kick a little soccer ball and play on the playground. And it's going to be a fun time. But that, we could have done that and it would have been fine. But Molly just loves to do things to the best of her ability, to glorify the Lord. And sometimes I'm a little bit lazy in that aspect. So
Look at that's you complimenting each other. It's quite beautiful.
Little yin yang going on there is what it is.
Yes.
I will say one funny anecdote from the night before the party. So your parents, like the bedroom they were in was in the back of the house, like the back left corner, kind of adjacent to the pool lanai area. And this bird shows up. It's like a gray bird with a long beak. And there's like a little, the house is on a golf course. So there's a little river / pond that runs along the backside of the house. And this bird is just walking around trying to find bugs, things to eat. And it lands right at dark and it doesn't make any noise. And as soon as we turn off the lights to go to bed, it starts with this horrible monkey sound. It sounded like, and this is terrible, it sounded like a child, like, yelling out for help mixed with a monkey. So maybe like there's a monkey attack going on in the backyard, but that's what this bird sounded like. And so we looked it up, and apparently it's an endangered bird that's migratory, and it just showed up and started going wild, and it was all night long, and it stopped at like 6:30, when the sun comes up. So I don't know if it's nocturnal or what, but it was, I slept with a white noise because I was in there with Stetson. I didn't hear a thing, but from what your parents tell me, it was a loud bird and it didn't stop all night. So I feel bad for him in that regard, because he's expending so much energy, your dad, baking cakes, doing the stuff, so I feel bad. And he's currently driving back 8 hours to Milton. So he's going to be whipped in the morning, I think. That's my prediction.
Yeah, he's got an incredible work ethic. I've always been challenged by it, and I appreciate it. Kind of sets the standard, Do things with excellence. Do a lot of things with excellence. I mean, the Lord's gifted you the talents. He's also gifted you this life. And if we're not using our talents in this life for His glory to the best of our ability, then we are falling short. Period.
Amen. And I think also, during the party, we're probably 30 minutes into the party and some of our friends get there and they're like, hey, where's your dad? That's the first thing they said when they came through the door. And I was like, I don't think they've met, your dad yet, but he's over here, so we kind of escort them over to your dad. And apparently the neighbor across the street had called a towing company because it's an Airbnb, but we got the party approved by the owner of the Airbnb. So, we're not really at fault here, but they left out the little, clip and excerpt, I guess, from the rules saying you have to park on our side of the street. You can't park on both sides, which, a lot of neighborhoods you can park on both sides because the roads are big enough. But she had called it. They were out there with a tow truck, this lady. And my buddy Preston was like, hey, what's going on? And she was like, you're not supposed, y'all aren't supposed to be parked on this side of the road. We're going to tow all 3 or 4 of these cars. And he was like, Yeah, it's like a 1-year-old's birthday party. It's gonna last like 2 hours. Are y'all really gonna like blow up his party just to like move these cars? And so he's like, can you just give us a few minutes and we'll work it out? And so we worked it out. We played some Tetris in the driveway, and we got everyone else on the same side of the road. So I don't know what it is, but some people, I just think I don't know if it's they don't want people to have fun or if they're just generally in a poor attitude. But I feel like if it was me and I was kind of irritated by it, I would probably go over and talk to somebody instead of not saying anything and calling a towing company. But yeah, I don't know if you were a part of that discussion at all, but it was just shocking to me because I don't know, from a human perspective, I don't know why you do that to somebody else, you know?
Can I have some thoughts if you want me to share them?
I'd love you to.
All right, let's think of this two different ways. One way, why would someone call a towing company to tow cars that are on their side of the street? One way to think about this is because it's the rules. You can't park on my side of the street. I pay X amount of dollars for homeowners association. I get to do whatever I want to within the rules. Is that a response filled with compassion, mercy, and grace? No, I think that's a fact. However, are they a born-again Christian? We don't know. The second way to think about this is it's a 1 year, exactly like you said, it's a 1 year old's birthday party. But in this neighbor's defense, this neighbor had no idea. You know, this neighbor could have been hurt by a party that happened at the same Airbnb last week where there were 25 cars that came for a 12-hour party from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. with blaring music. And they thought, I cannot let this happen again. I let it go the first time. I said, all is vanity. You know, this life, I'm a sojourner on this land. I'm gonna put my preference aside and I'm gonna let them have their fun. And that's that. And then the very next week, they're doing the same exact thing. It might be time for a change. So that's the second way to think about it. Those are just two options. That's not limited to those two options. But there's a defense, but there's also let's have some compassion. But we don't know the headspace in which this nice or rude woman was in. So on our side, I think we need to have some compassion. But it's a great opportunity to have a conversation. Maybe hey, would you like some cake? We're just visiting. We're sojourners in this home.
She's like, yeah, you're sojourners. You need to leave. No, that's probably a really good and mature perspective. I just think, when it's your kid's 1 year old birthday party.
Absolutely.
It's hard to. Can you please just act like an adult that's not a terrible person and just let us have fun? Or at least just come talk to us and say, hey, I'm blocked in. Hey, I'm blocked in my driveway. Can y'all move, please? But like you said, that's probably a good perspective to have. And I really don't, when people automatically go to the extreme like that, I don't often give them the benefit of the doubt. So maybe that's something I need to work on, but that's just kind of the way it is. So,
well, it could be a perspective shift of what extreme is, because that extreme, towing, I think there could be a even more extreme. I think this woman could be so angry that she walks over to the house with a gun and says,
oh my gosh,
you move your car right now Otherwise, I'm shooting your tires out. They're on my property.
Oh,
I get to
okay.
do what I want. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'd say that's an extreme.
I would probably say, well, I mean, technically the tires are in the public right of way, but you know, you're the one with the gun, right? So
You call the Airbnb host, I'm being held hostage at your home?
yeah, the neighbor across the street, they're currently holding me at gunpoint.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, it was a phenomenal time, you know, despite the bird and despite the towing company. You know, thankfully no one got towed, and I think everyone had a really good time because the food and the fellowship were phenomenal.
3
And
Fs.
I think that's just fantastic. So, but that's really kind of the crux of my week. And, you know, we went to church this morning and they were talking about hospitality. I think it was Luke 14, when Jesus tells the parable about the man who's holding the banquet, and all of his, you know, highly esteemed friends come up with excuses as to why they can't make the banquet or the wedding. And so he says to his servants, look, go out to the street and get everyone, you know, get the poor people, get the homeless, get the cripple. And, I mean, it's obviously a parallel to the gospel, but I think it speaks to, you know, earthly hospitality as well, and how that's a reflection of, look, you know, Jesus has done this in my life, and therefore I'm going to be hospitable and kind of reflect that to you as well. So yeah, that's kind of the recap for my week, but it was, it just kind of tied it all together this morning. So,
Amen.
How was your week?
Let me tell you about my week, if that's okay. Here's how it started. If we start on Monday. Well, the podcast released on Monday at 5 a.m. like it does every Monday. We had our last upward practice. And it was insane. Just absolutely bonkers. Kids were excited. They were sad. I was sad and excited. But it was good, man. They left with neon green backpacks, sports bags. So that was Monday. It was good. Tuesday, we had a life group. We looked at Acts chapter 16, where Paul is really on a journey through, I believe it was, I won't even try. I'm sorry, guys. There's 2 cities. It's where he first began his ministry, but I lost the names. They're not coming to mind. Fantastic lesson. And it's just a picture of the missional side of what's funny. Did I say something wrong?
No, you didn't say anything wrong. I just thought it was hilarious. You were like, it was great. It's this city. Oh, I can't remember any of the details. Oh, it was a fantastic lesson.
All right.
I'm kidding. Please continue.
You're catching me on the specifics here. But the lesson as a whole was great. It was a challenge to live on mission, really, for the gospel. And to do that, we have to be living in the gospel and understanding how the gospel impacts and is involved with our everyday life. Some might say fluent. Are we gospel fluent? Are we fluent in the gospel like we are in English? Is the gospel natural in our thoughts? Just like I don't have to think about how to pronounce these words that I'm saying right now. They're just natural. Is my brain wired to be naturally thinking about the gospel? About who needs to hear the gospel, how the gospel is impacting, how Jesus is impacting every aspect of our life. So along those lines. And that's a continual examination that's needed. Onward. Right after life group, I meet with Our great friend Jimmy Gary. Um, Also, I meet with up and coming artist named New King James, um, and we go to BJ's Brew House where we delight in Pazookies on Tuesday. And allow me to share this with you. For a limited time only, this is not a sponsored ad by BJ's, but it's pretty special. They have cinnamon roll Pazookie. I'm telling you, it's one of the most greatest inventions in the history of inventions. I'm thinking I'm getting a big cinnamon roll the size of the pan, like a cookie.
Right.
No. They send out 4 cinnamon rolls and a scoop of ice cream. 4! I mean, they're massive cinnamon rolls, and I ate every single one of them. No problem. Right down the hatch. I'm a big volume eater. I love to eat a lot. It fulfills me. And this
Amen.
one fulfilled me. Right after that, New King James and we head back to my apartment complex where we are working on a spring break anthem type song to be released. Hear me when I say this, listeners, on March 1st. That's the first day of March. Also, I believe it's a Friday, March 1st. So that's something to keep on your radar. That was Tuesday. Wednesday we have, well, let me share with this. We have, I go to lunch. Well, I missed out. I started a new monthly lunch with a college intern named Andrew Bokelman. I don't know if he listens to this podcast, but I said his name just in case anybody's out there listening that says, hey, Andrew, Bo said your name on this podcast. You should listen. Again, we don't self-promote. We need you to promote for us, listeners. So this is an opportunity. Onward. Wednesday. I have this monthly lunch with Lucas High, one of our friends, at Dave's. Dave's is a New York deli. I had hot pastrami. I get hot pastrami once a month with a side. It's one quarter of a pickle. It's pretty special. Pretty special. Anyway, you know how we've been talking about my car problems and such. Right. I'm having car problems, etc., etc. Well, the car got fixed the other day, $50 fix, just a tech update, easy peasy, gas mileage up by 5 miles per gallon. Our listeners already know this. We're having fun. Well, Lucas gets in the car, and it's relevant because I got it repaired 1 month ago, and it was relevant because I needed him last month to drive me to Dave's with him. And I told him this month, hey, I'm taking you this time because you took me last time because my car's fixed. So he gets in the car. He asks about my car. So we get to Dave's. We have our chat. We drive back. And you know what my car does? My car does the whole hybrid system warning. Stop. Do not drive.
You're kidding.
While he's in there. Yeah. It's unbelievable. It hadn't happened since it was fixed. So I immediately pulled it. Well, I didn't immediately. I took my chances for a second there, but I decided it'd be best to pull over, turn the car off, turn it back on. So I did that. It started running. It made it to the church. I turned it off. I called Hyundai. I said, hey, guys, we got a big problem. I got to go to Sarasota to go to my nephew's birthday party, and I'm in trouble. My car, y'all worked on it last month. It's having that same problem again. And the guy was like, come in at 8:30 tomorrow. And I said, yes, sir, I will. So I'm working remotely on Thursday. I'm driving to Ocala on Thursday. Hyundai Jenkins of Ocala. I'm getting my car fixed, allegedly. Well, it's a hybrid battery problem. So I'm going in there expecting the battery is the problem. I'm fully expecting that. And if we know anything about hybrid batteries, which I didn't know before researching, is that they cost around $10,000 to fix, which for a guy who works at a church, it's not just a chump change, We need a lot more subscribers on this podcast to really make it an easy purchase. But anyway, I'm not desperate for money, I promise. The Lord provides, and he provides good things. Even if it's not good to us, it'll be good for his glory. Again, getting off on a tangent, that's relevant to glorifying the Lord, so not really a tangent, but now I'm on a tangent about what a tangent is, so I'm going to stop right here. We're back to the car. What does the Lord provide? He provides good things. One of the good things he provided was around 11 a.m., the guy comes in. He says, "Hey, Bo, it's looking like it's a battery problem. We're going to probably have to replace the battery. I'm going to talk with Phyllis, who was our warranty operator. She kind of manages the warranties, talks to the Hyundai corporate people, gets things straightened out, see how much you're going to have to pay." All right. So at this point, I'm expecting anywhere from the range of $5,000 to $10,000 to pay for a new battery. 3 more hours pass. I've gotten some work done. Phyllis has done her work. My boy Jason walks back up. He said, "Hey, Bo." He got a smile on his face. And he says, "The cost of the repair is $9,500. And he said, "It's $9,500. It's approved." And I was thinking, whoa. I don't remember approving this. I don't remember getting that text that said, "Here's what's wrong with your car. Would you like to make these changes?" So I was like, $9,500 approved. Okay. And then I said, I told him straight up, I said, "I could tell you were expecting some kind of reaction from me whenever you first told me that, and I didn't provide you a reaction, which probably made you confused. However, I don't know enough about this process of hybrid car repair to know what you mean by $9,500 approved." And my boy Jason looks me straight in the eye with a smile on his face and says, No. Phyllis got the whole thing approved, completely covered by Hyundai, your repair. $9,500 approved for repair by Hyundai. We're covering the cost." And I looked at Jason and I say, "Jason, here's my reaction." Holy!
Holy shnikes.
Somebody grab a honey bun. Call me Charles. Wow.
Yeah, you know what? After that, I won't even wipe out your honey bun stash, man. I'll leave y'all to you.
Yeah. So I'm just astonished. So I'm like, "Jason, why?" Because I went to Hyundai of Gainesville, and the first thing they said to me was, "Hey, just so you know, you probably think you have a 100,000 warranty, 100,000 mile warranty on the drivetrain, but that only applies to the original owner." And I was like, "Well, great. I wasn't asking, but now that I know that I don't, I guess that makes me feel great." That's Hyundai of Gainesville. Let me be clear. Hyundai of Gainesville. So I go to Hyundai of Ocala, and I'm under the impression original owner warranty. It doesn't apply to me. I'm not the original owner. But Phyllis and Hyundai of Jenkins and of Ocala, they are something else. They work out that out. And it's not just that. It's not that. Jason doesn't stop there. He says, "Now, we're going to have a shipment of batteries coming in March. It's 5 batteries, 5 Hyundai hybrid batteries. But there's one caveat. You're number 6. You're customer number 6 on the wait list of batteries." So my car was already going to have to be there until March, because you can't drive a car that says hybrid system warning, stop and do not drive. Probably not the wisest thing to do. Mm-hmm. So I'm there, and I say, and he doesn't even let me ask what's going to happen. He says, "So we're going to pay for you a rental car. We're going to shuttle you over to the rental car service. We're going to have it completely covered. They're going to ask you if you want to add on different add-ons for insurance. We got that completely covered. It's all covered by us. You're not paying a dime. The only dime you're paying is the gas that you drove to get from your home to here this morning. And I sat there with Jason and I said, Jason, you are too good to me, my friend. Quite frankly, it is a little sad because I'm not going to see Jason every month now. I'm going to see him in probably 3 months when I get my original car now. But, I mean, it's just unbelievable is the word I would categorize it as. That story. I don't know, man.
I think unbelievable is probably an understatement, frankly. That's I've literally never heard of anything like that. I feel like we've got to send, the Quite Frankly podcast has got to send Phyllis something. Can you hit up Jason and see what her address is so we can send her some merch or something?
Well, I told Jason, I said, bring Phyllis out here. Let me give her a kiss on the cheek. And he said, Phyllis wouldn't like that too much. Oh, man.
Oh, well, maybe she would enjoy a sweatshirt or a long sleeve T-shirt or something like that.
Yes.
More than a kiss on the cheek.
We need to send Phyllis and Jason something. But again, Hyundai of Ocala, Jenkins of Ocala, I cannot recommend them enough, and I've spent hours. I've spent the equivalent of probably 20 hours in that facility, and it's just remarkable. I'm taking up so much time on that one story, but that was a massive story that I really wanted to make sure I shared because it was just so cool, and so good. So there's only one way that could happen, right? The Lord had his hand in it. Again, that's not to say that the Lord wouldn't have his hand on it if I had to pay $10,000. The Lord had his hand in it just as much. It's just, wow. It's a gift, such a gift. Then Thursday night, that all happened Thursday. Thursday night, I did a little tennis lesson / playing with one of the middle school tennis players at Westside. That was fun. Then I went to play pickleball right after that. And I actually ran into a guy that I did physical therapy with. We both had bum ankles there. And we got to play pickleball on the court using our restored ankles. And I thought that was a beautiful moment. So it was a big Thursday. It was a cool Thursday. Friday rolls around. That's night to shine. Prom for those with developmental disabilities. They were all crowned kings and queens, and it was just an absolutely phenomenal night. Saturday rolls around. Big Saturday. Last upward game of the season, which was awesome. Coach Steven and Coach Connor. Coach Connor took an early vacation. He went on a cruise for our last game to celebrate.
Big Red Machine checking out.
The Big Red Machine. Yes. So it was a great season. It's just so blessed to have a great team and great coaching staff. Then right after that, I drive to Sarasota to celebrate the first birthday of your son. And it was just an absolutely incredible time. It was as we've previously spoken, it was way too short of a time. I wish I would have been able to spend, say, 3 days to 15 days there, somewhere in that range, but I was unable. But the time I did spend there, I did not take for granted. It was quite wonderful. And just so our listeners know, I got to meet Chalupa Batman. And Chalupa Batman also explained to me what Chalupa Batman was. So that was pretty special. Then, after the party, we got to hang out a little bit, spend more time together, eat some barbecue from the Mission. And that was good. Any thoughts so far? I'm just talking up a storm over here, yapping
No,
away.
no. I mean, I feel like we've had a big week, right? Especially a big weekend with the birthday party. And I think we're cracking up on 50 minutes here. Yeah, right. I mean, almost to the second 5-0, but we may have to forego sports reality TV. We'll talk about our songs, but I feel like it's just been such a good week. And I wanted to, after you're done with your week recap, I wanted to kind of touch back on Phyllis a little bit. So,
Of course, of course. So that was Saturday. We drive back Saturday night. Jackson, my brother, Julia, my brother's girlfriend, and I, we took two cars because they obviously got there Thursday. I got there Saturday, but we exited, and I think he beat me. I beat him to this house, but he had to drop her off. I stopped at the Wawa on my way back in Wesley Chapel. I tend to frequent that Wawa, and it's a good spot. Well, I go in, I get an iced coffee because it's getting late, and quite frankly, I had been up since 5 a.m. and had 4 hours of sleep the night before from night to shine. So I was kind of on the roads, so I needed a on the roads, and I got a iced coffee, but there was no cashier. So the cashier, we waited there. There was I think 5 of us in line, and we waited for a solid 3 minutes, and then all you hear is, "I'm gonna be there in 1 minute." I think he was getting a crumpet or something. Oh, he was hungry. I mean, it makes sense. You were there all night, so sometimes you get hungry. So I just thought that was funny little thing that happened. I'm missing out a critical part of my week. Did I talk about angels, demons, and the unseen realm at all?
you did not.
That was Wednesday, and we talked about angels, demons, and the unseen realm. Again, people, if you're in Gainesville and you're listening to those podcasts and are free on Wednesdays at 6 p.m., I'm telling you, join me. Sit next to me. Well, actually, quite frankly, we ran out of seats. So sit. I'll stand. You sit. That's the deal I'm making with you. But I would recommend, it's quite fascinating. You get to see the character of God and how God is in control and sovereign over his angels and over the demons even. Ultimately, he's in control of Satan. Again, it's no contest between Satan and God. They're not in complete opposition. They oppose each other because Satan is trying to destroy everything that God has created. But I mean, they're not equal opponents. God is completely in control of Satan and will ultimately diminish and destroy the prince of the air, as they say. And what a glorious, victorious day that will be for all of God's people. You and I. That was just my one little thing. That was Wednesday. I got a little passionate about what was Thursday, about Phyllis. So you're laughing. Come on, get it out, buddy.
Oh no, I thought it was funny when you just paused and said, "You and me," or "Me and you." Oh, man.
There is just not enough time in an hour to hit this. I'm not even done yet. I got to get this Sunday. I want to talk about. Yeah, go for it. Say it.
No, I was going to say go to Sunday because if you were going to leave this morning out, then I was going to call you out on it because you're a humble dude. Right. I didn't want you to leave this out. So,
okay, Sunday comes up. We're talking about deliverance. Again, it goes hand in hand with angels, demons, and the unseen realm. I wanted to share what we talked about was the excuses of self-preservation. What are we constricting ourselves to? Because often we are our biggest limiters. And I wanted to share with you 4 main points of the ways in which we see Moses constricting himself, holding himself back, preserving himself because he doesn't think he's good enough. He says, the credentials excuse. Who am I? I'm not worthy. There's plenty of people better than me to go and do and share the gospel, share the message of the kingdom, expand the kingdom of God. He then goes to the content excuse. I don't have anything to tell them. What do I tell them? What good am I? He goes to the credibility excuse. No one will believe me. I'm just a guy. Well, who does God use so often and so often? And everywhere, all around the world, ultimately sinners. But even more specifically, adulterers. Who's King David? Who's King David? King David slept with a woman. He sent the woman's husband out to war so he could be killed. I mean, and God used King David in mighty ways. The communication excuse. I'm a terrible talker. I suck at public speaking. I get nervous. Well, quite frankly, doing things in the will of God with faithful obedience, God is going to honor that. He's going to speak through you. I will say, Pastor David Chauncey is one of the great communicators. Funny enough, the communicator excuse, he's one of the great communicators I know. Just in the way he illustrates and alliterates things. Oh, it's just absolutely beautiful and pure. And finally, he says, you can't deliver others from their Egypt, thinking about Moses and Egypt, but also the challenge for us, we can't deliver others from their other people's Egypt unless God is continued delivering you from yourself. Because our flesh, it's going to consume us. It's going to constrict us. It's going to want to self-preserve us. But what more will reward is advancing the kingdom of God. I thought it was quite beautiful. We see that Moses first has to deliver himself before he can expand the kingdom of God with and through God's power. So that was the week. It was an incredible week. It was fast-paced, high-paced, nonstop. How I prefer my weeks, and just quite frankly, very exciting.
Well, it sounds incredible. I think we both enjoyed our weeks, is what it sounds like. I knew you weren't going to mention this, but I wanted to applaud you on
The song of the week. We have the song of the week.
No. About leading worship this morning in the 11 o'clock service, and then being Bobby Flint's kind of right-hand man in the 9:30. So I think that's incredible faithfulness and obedience on your part. And I think, the fact that the whole Phyllis thing happened the same week, I think it's pretty incredible, I think it's pretty amazing, and I don't think that there's such thing as a coincidence. But when you were talking about Phyllis, I just got this image in my head of, I don't know if Phyllis is a believer or not. I mean, it's somewhat her job, I guess, as the warranty person, but I'm sure there's warranty people who are bad at their job and don't care about people. But you see this broken battery, this hybrid battery, and along with it comes this payment. I don't want to speak on your financial situation, but for the point of this, for the point of this parallel, we'll say it's a payment that you couldn't pay. You know what I mean? You had this $10,000 charge coming at you. You know what I mean? And Phyllis comes in and steps in the way of that. And Phyllis kind of acts as a propitiation between you and Hyundai Corporate for paying this, this debt. And so I think it's amazing. I think Phyllis is a wonderful example of the gospel and what Jesus did for us. So I was listening. I was like, man, Phyllis, whether she knows it or not, she is a fantastic example here. And she's standing in the way of really the wrath of God being poured out on you via, vis-a-vis the Hyundai Corporate and their broken hybrid batteries. So that just kind of popped in my mind, and I thought it was, I thought it was applicable. So
I'll tell you this. That was one of the most gospel fluent things I've heard in a long while. And it's a beautiful picture of what gospel fluency looks like. How can you look at a situation like Phyllis and see a picture and an illustration of what Jesus has done for you, and you just so beautifully communicated that, and I couldn't agree more. And the wrath of God, I mean, the wrath of God, I'm just gonna stop there because what you said was absolutely glorious, and it just puts into perspective. Again, all is vanity. It's just money at the end of the day.
Right.
Right. We're gonna be members, and we are members of a much mightier and stronger kingdom. But again, it's just an absolutely amazing gift and an amazing. I'm speechless. I get speechless because it's just, again, it's unbelievable. It just doesn't make sense. Kind of like Jesus dying on a cross for people that he took their wrath, their sin. So,
Right.
whew, we didn't even hardly get past our weeks, man.
I know it. I know it. Let's do a song. What's your song of the week, and we'll kind of wrap it up after that.
Well, I'm throwing it back to 2017 here, which, believe it or not, that's 7 years ago. And I'll give you a guess as to who the artist is on this track.
2017. I got to think. What was I listening to in 2017? Maybe not necessarily what I was listening to, but what was popular in 2017.
Maybe
And
maybe think of the Song of the Week collection.
yeah, my only thing was this song wouldn't really fit into the collection. I was thinking Trap Queen by Fetty Wap was really big in 2017, but I can't really imagine you driving around in 2024 listening to that. So I'm lost on this one.
All right, Charity Gale.
Is that another hint? I got to be honest. I wasn't listening to Charity Gale in 2017, but
this song is called "My God Fights for Me." It has Charity Gale, it has Micah Tyler, and it has Caden Slay. And what it does is they kind of take on the personification or the personality or the story of these Bible characters that we see them delivered in those moments. So think Daniel in the lion's den. He was delivered from the lion's den by God. His God fought for him. So they speak in the first person, like I'm in the pit of lions, yet I was able to sleep. My God fights for me, and they harmonize so beautifully, and it's kind of a different tune, and I very much enjoyed it. I heard it for the first time, believe it or not, in 2024. Actually, this week, I heard it for the first time. So, it's pretty special. I would recommend. How about you?
Very good. Very good. I'll say this week, my song of the week is Breathless by the Hales. It's just, man, a lot of their songs are just so dang groovy. And you just ride around and you just listen to them and you just kind of do this number, just dang turn your bones to jelly.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you just have to listen to it when we add it here after this episode. But that's my song of the week.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Any closing thoughts? And as part of that, I want to ask you a Super Bowl prediction score, just so we'll have it on the records.
Well, we've talked a bunch about the weeks, so I don't have too many closing thoughts, but I think for the Super Bowl, I'm not really cheering for either team. I don't really want Kansas City to win anymore. And I don't like the 49ers because they beat the Packers in the playoff, but I think that the 49ers are going to win. Purdy's probably going to throw a pick or two, but McCaffrey's just so dang good. So you want me to give a score prediction as well?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's going to be a shootout, personally. I'm going to go 35 to 41.
I like it. 49ers?
49ers.
Yes. Coach Steven, my assistant coach here, massive 49ers fan. So I got to go with the 49ers. I'm cheering them on. I'm going to go more on the defensive side, but still a couple of touchdowns here. I'm going to go 29-25. I'm hoping for that scoreagami, a score that's never been scored before. 29-25 49ers. And we're going to find out tonight, Sunday night, and our listeners are going to hear about our score predictions on Monday at 5 a.m. when they all listen.
Right.
Especially those in France and Dubai. We see you, we know you, and we love you.
Amen.
And speaking of love, we love you deeply, and we love you generously. And we're going to see you in 7 days.